Very good morning, dear students. Welcome back to the class. This video is for class 10 subject science chapter number 13, that is magnetic effects of current, and this is lecture number 9, summary lecture part number 2. So dear students, in summary part 1 we have done the magnetic field produced due to a straight conductor, magnetic field produced due to a current carrying circular loop, and the magnetic field produced due to a solenoid. So today we are going to do the topics: force on a current carrying conductor, electric motor, its detailed description we'll have today, then electromagnetic induction, electric generators, domestic electric circuits. So these are the topics which we will be doing today, but our main focus will be to learn about the principal working of electric motor and electric generators, that how they actually work, and rest of the topics we'll just do, and these two topics we'll do in details. So dear students, our first topic is force on a current carrying conductor. So in this topic we'll study that how the force acts on the current carrying conductor. One of the scientists named as Andre Marie Ampere, he found or he discovered that when a current is flowing in a conductor and that conductor is placed in a magnetic field, then that magnetic field exerts some kind of force on the conductor. And this experiment was also known as kicking wire experiment, because here the magnetic field is kicking the conductor which is having current in that. So what is done in this experiment? That we have a conductor which is connected with a battery, so this is basically our conductor. If the positive terminal of the battery is here, then the direction of the current will be this. And if we place a magnet near the conductor, it can be a permanent magnet. So let's say we keep a bar magnet near it. So if we keep a bar magnet near it, or a horseshoe magnet which can be kept over this wire in this manner, which is having its north and south pole, and the forces and the current is flowing through the conductor. Then according to the experiment done by the Andre Marie Ampere, he said that when a conductor is placed perpendicular to the magnetic field, or you can say when the current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, then when the current is flowing in such a way that current is perpendicular to the magnetic field, then there is a force exerted on the conductor. So if this is the horseshoe magnet which creates a magnetic field and the current is in this direction, so we can see here that magnetic field is perpendicular to the current flowing. That means at this situation the conductor will experience a force on it. That means in the influence of the magnet, it will either move up or down or left or right. So if we reverse the direction, the movement of the conductor will be in opposite side. So what is the rule that gives the direction of the motion in the conductor? So that rule is known as Fleming's left hand rule, which states that when we stretch our left hand, thumb, first finger, central finger in such a way that the first finger is indicating the direction of the magnetic field, the central finger is giving the direction of the current, then the thumb will give the direction of the force acting on the conductor. So when we can apply the rule here also. So here what is happening? The direction of the magnetic field is in this direction and current is flowing in this direction. So let us try to align our fingers in this way. That current is flowing in this direction, but the magnetic field direction according to our fingers is this side. But in the diagram shown here, it is here. So we'll have to do something else. Or you can do one thing, that let us turn the page itself. So now it's more convenient for us that now, because this was the direction of the current and this was the direction of the magnetic field. So now we can align our left hand, see it clearly, or you can see it from here, that when I place my left hand, which is having the thumb, first finger and the central finger mutually perpendicular to each other, then my central finger is giving the direction of the current and my first finger is giving the direction of the magnetic field. So my thumb should give the direction of the force exerted on the conductor. So it is pointing downwards. That means when this type of motion is there, when current and magnetic field are aligned in this way, then the conductor will move downward, or a force will act on it and it will make it to move in the downward direction. So here we find that mutually perpendicular to them, I am making it with the help of dotted line, the thumb will point the direction of the force. So you can also remember it like this is the force, magnetic field and the current. So father, mother, child rule, or Fleming's left hand rule. Our next topic is electric motor. Electric motor is basically, or whenever you are asked to write about electric motor, then it will be asked in the question that what is electric motor, what is its principle and what is its working. So you have to do the question step by step. First you will write the definition of the electric motor. So how to define electric motor? A device which converts electric energy into mechanical energy or kinetic energy is called electric motor. So here what kind of conversion of energy is there? Electric energy is getting converted into mechanical energy. So this was the definition. Now we have to write the principle. Just now we have studied about the force on a current carrying conductor. That when the current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, then a force is exerted on the conductor. That means that we can make the conductor to move by placing it perpendicular to the magnetic field, providing that the conductor is carrying the current. So it is based on the principle that force is exerted on the conductor, or you can write it as, and the force exerted on the conductor will be maximum when the conductor or the current flowing in the conductor is perpendicular to the magnetic field. So this is the principle of electric motor. Now let us know how to construct an electric motor. So in the construction of electric motor, the first thing that we will require is the conductor which will rotate or which will move in the magnetic field. So that is the armature coil. Armature coil is the coil made up by making the coil of insulated copper wire. When you wrap up the copper wire in the form of the coils, then it forms a armature coil. So this is our conductor which we are going to place inside the magnetic field. The second thing is the magnets. Strong magnets we require, or you can say permanent magnet that should produce enough magnetic field so that it can rotate the armature coil. So we need a magnet. Third is we need the split rings which are made up of some conducting material like copper, and it is made up of a copper ring cut in between. So we are having the two halves in this way. Or split rings are also called commutator. The fourth is carbon brushes. Carbon brushes are made up of carbon. And why we have chosen carbon here? Because carbon is one of the soft materials, so that it can make the soft contact between the connecting wires and the split rings. So this carbon brush, you must be thinking that why we have not taken any conducting material like copper here, because the carbon brushes, they are having a very high melting point, very low resistance. So all these are because you remember graphite is one of the best conductors. So we make the carbon brushes attached to the split rings or to the commutator. So the carbon brushes are pressed to the commutator so that they can make the transfer of charge between each other. The fifth one is a battery to supply the electrical energy. And as this is the electric motor, we have to produce the electric current through it. We have to give the electric energy to it so that it can make some other device to rotate. One important thing here is that why we are this type of electric motor in which split rings are used is called DC motor. As we know that there is a current of two types, AC and DC. So when we are supplying the electrical energy to the armature coil with the help of a battery which is giving us the DC supply, direct current, then that type of electric motor will be called DC motor. When we supply the AC current to the armature coil, then that type of electric motor will be called AC electric motor. And the symbol for the AC is this. For battery we have this symbol. For the AC source we have this symbol. So remember, this is the difference between the AC and DC motor. Here we are doing the electric motor which is a DC motor. So dear students, now let me show you the parts of the electric motor, then we'll fastly do the working of electric motor. So here we have the north and the south pole of the magnet. We have placed an armature coil A, B, C, D in the magnetic field of horseshoe magnet, which is a permanent magnet, and the armature coil ABCD is connected to the commutator or split rings R1, R2. I told you these are two half rings. So AB is connected to R1 in the initial situation and CD is connected to R2. R1 is connected with brush B1, R2 is connected with brush B2. To supply the DC energy to the electric motor or to the armature coil, we have a battery. To adjust the current, we have a rheostat. So now let us see the working of electric motor. Just assume that the coil is first in the horizontal situation. So it is like this now. Now when the current starts flowing in the armature coil, then it starts experiencing the force, and let us see how it happens. So the first step, I am making you understand that how you have to write in the answer. Working. So initially the armature coil ABCD is in horizontal position. When the current starts flowing from the battery, then we know, here you can have the clear picture of both the things, that from the positive terminal of the battery the current will start flowing, and if the current is flowing in this direction, then first it will go to D, then from D to C, C to B, and then it will come to AB, B to A, and then it will go to the R1, through which it will go to the B1 and again to the negative terminal. So this makes a closed circuit. So now when the current is flowing from DCBA armature coil, from D to C current is flowing, from B to A current is flowing. So these two arms are having the current in different sides. So this is our right arm, this is the left arm of the armature coil. So in the left arm the current is flowing towards the reader, or you can say towards us. Whereas in DC arm the current is going away from the reader or towards the screen it is going. So according to the Fleming's and we know that here the north and the south poles are there. So we will be having the magnetic field lines coming out from the north pole and going to the south pole. The diagram will become messy, otherwise I would have drawn the magnetic field lines also, but let me draw it here with a different color. So magnetic field lines, they are going from the north to south, this way. Now we apply the Fleming's left hand rule on both the arms and find that in which direction that particular arm will move. So in case of the arm AB, if we apply the Fleming's left hand rule, so we have to align the central finger according to the direction of the current and the first finger according to the direction of the magnetic field. So we know that magnetic field is in this way, but current is flowing in this way. So you can see my thumb is pointing upward. So this arm will move upward. If we apply the Fleming's right hand rule here, then we'll have to move, we'll have to keep our hand like this. If we keep it like this, then we'll find that CD arm is experiencing a force downward. So if arm AB moves up and CD moves down, then this is a clockwise rotation. So that causes the coil ABCD to rotate clockwise. Now at this situation, when this current is flowing, B1 was connected to R1 and R2 was connected to B2. But when it starts rotating, when it comes to, like this is the arm, when it starts, this arm experiences a force upward and this arm experiences a downward force. So a couple forces acting, so it will make it rotate. So this will come till this position. So when the armature coil becomes vertical, then the position of the split rings, I am just trying to show you that what is the role of the split rings here. Then the position of the split rings will be like this, that they are neither connected to brush B1 nor connected to brush B2. So at this situation, no current will flow to the coils. That means no force is exerted, but due to the moment of inertia, as now the coil is in the rotational inertia, so because of that it will keep on rotating even if no force is experienced by it. So when it keeps on rotating in clockwise direction, then it comes in the contact of that R1, split ring R1 comes in the contact of brush B2 while rotating clockwise, and the split ring R2 comes in the contact of brush B1. So the situation becomes now that after a half rotation, that means this was the situation when it rotates and comes like this. It makes a rotation of 180 degree. Then after a rotation of 180 degree, the arm's position. So after making half a rotation, the arm AB comes in the position of arm CD. So now AB becomes the right arm, CD becomes the left arm. And the position of the split rings changes. That the ring, split ring R1, which was connected to AB and earlier which was connected to brush B1, now it is connected after clockwise rotation. Now R1 gets connected to B2 and B1 gets connected to R2. So remember, here what is changing? Only the arms are changing, but B1 is still negative terminal of the battery and B2 is still positive terminal of the battery. So it will always give the current in this way. But now the current is flowing from, so now the steps become, that current flows from A, B, C, D. But remember, when the current is going from A to B, then B to C and C to D, the same thing happens, that CD arm is having a current flow towards the reader, towards us, and the magnetic field is in this direction. CD is having a current flow away from the reader or away from us towards the screen, and the magnetic field is in this direction. So when we apply the Fleming's left hand rule on CD arm, then we find that this is still moving in the upward direction and this moves in the downward direction. So this causes the rotation of the armature coil. This makes the rotation of the armature coil clockwise. But what changes here? That we have given the DC current, but still it makes a continuous rotation, because of which our DC motors or DC motor based appliances, they are rotating in the clockwise direction. Like your cars dynamo, cycle dynamo, they all are based on the DC motor. So this is how the current flows. So remember that the current is flowing in the same direction. What is only changing with the help of the split rings? That the connection between the brushes and the rings are changing with the help of the split rings or the commutator. And for that reason only we are able to make it rotate continuously clockwise direction or anti-clockwise, depending upon in which direction you are applying the current. So this is all about the working of electric motor, DC motor. The next topic is electromagnetic induction. So dear students, we have learned that Oersted, he experimentally showed that electric current can produce the magnetic effect. When he did this, soon after that, many of the scientists, they start searching for the reverse effect, so that the magnetic effect or magnetic field can produce the electric current or not. So in doing that, many of the experiments were done, like Faraday or Henry, they have done the experiments on the basis of electromagnetic induction, or to study the reverse effect of current or the magnetic field on the current. So now in electromagnetic induction, what happens that we have to produce current, because we have studied that current can produce the magnetic field. That means magnetic field can also produce the current. But when magnetic field can produce the current, when a current conductor which is not having current flowing in that right now, but when the conductor is placed in the magnetic field, I should say varying magnetic field. This can be done in two ways. Either the magnetic field should vary, the conductor should be fixed so that different magnetic field lines will pass through the conductor at different times. Or the magnetic field is fixed, that means it is permanent, and the conductor is rotated or moved in the fixed magnetic field. Now, what is the reason that why we need a varying magnetic field? It is because of the reason that when the number of magnetic field lines passing through a conductor changes rapidly, then it develops a potential difference across the ends of the conductor. Excuse me. So because of that potential difference developed, what happens that current starts flowing in the conductor, because current is what? The flow of charge, and flow of charge happens when the potential difference is there. So it is the basic requirement to produce the potential difference across the ends of the conductor so that charges can move from one point to another. So that will cause the induced current, because this current is produced without any direct contact of the battery or any other chemical cell to the conductor. So that is why this is called induced current, which is now flowing in the conductor. So the phenomena of producing electric current in a conductor by moving it perpendicular to a magnetic field or vice versa. We can do both the things. We can make the conductor fixed and the magnetic field varying or rotating, or the magnetic field fixed and making the conductor to move perpendicular to the magnetic field. That is more important. So this is called electromagnetic induction. And the current thus produced is called induced current. So induced current can be produced, or current in a coil can be induced when a closed coil, closed in the sense it should make a closed circuit. That means we can attach a galvanometer to detect the presence of the current in the coil. So we can induce the current in the coil by two methods. One, with the help of a bar magnet, or with the help of another coil which is having current. So how can we induce the current through a bar magnet? We can move the bar magnet towards or away from the coil. So it will cause the magnetic flux, that is the number of magnetic field lines passing through per unit area. That means the magnetic field lines which are passing from the two ends of the coil. Here more number of magnetic field lines will pass, here less number of magnetic field lines pass. So this difference in the number of magnetic field lines will develop a potential difference which will cause the flow of the current from a particular direction. That depends that whether we are taking it towards or away from the conductor. So when we are taking it towards the coil, the current is generated in one direction, let's say it is towards the right, and when it is taken away, then it is towards the left or in the different direction. But the important thing is that magnetic field should vary, because when we keep the bar magnet stationary near the coil, that will not induce the current in the coil. because no development of the potential difference will be there. The second thing that can happen is that we have a closed coil which is having a galvanometer attached to it. Then we keep another coil which is having the battery connections or which is having the current flowing in this. So in this coil the current is flowing. That means the magnetic field will be generated in this coil, as this is acting as a solenoid now. And that magnetic field will now also pass through the second coil in which we want to induce the current. So when the current keeps on increasing or keeps on decreasing, that means when the current is varying, the magnetic field strength will also vary. So accordingly, there will be a development of potential difference, and that will cause the production of the induced current in the second coil. So this is how the current is induced in the closed coil. Now, this phenomena